What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at our last of the Mesoamerican Zodiacs. This one being the Incas. So we've done the Aztecs in April, the Mayans in May, and we're now doing the Incas in June. Now the Incan one is interesting because all of its signs are insects. So it is commonly known as the Entomo Zodiac, and by commonly I mean, at least in my friends group, only me. But that is what it is called. It's the Entomo Zodiac, because entomology being the study of insects. This is the zodiac of insects, so it makes sense to use the same Latin prefix. But it says here on this particular site that I'm using, which is, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Entomo Zodiac. Website purely dedicated to this. It's an ancient horoscope that was developed by old civilization living in the South American Andes. These pre-Incan civilizations used a zodiac consisting of 12 signs or houses that were named after 12 insects. The original name for this horoscope pronounces like Naivsku. Naivsku is what they've got in quotation marks. But they said that they've renamed it Entomo Zodiac, a combination of entomology and zodiac, like I mentioned before. So until a few years ago, the Entomo Zodiac was rather unknown, but recent archaeological discoveries in the South American rainforests have sparked a renewed scientific interest in this ancient indigenous knowledge. When a team of archaeologists and anthropologists started to collect and compile available information, they called this the Entomo Zodiac Project, TEP. And so TEP now started this particular website, partly to share its knowledge with a bigger audience and partly to involve more people in its ongoing research programs. So what are the 12 signs and what are their order? Well, the first sign actually starts from the September solstice. Equinox. The September equinox. So it's usually around about the 20th, 22nd sort of thing of September. The date they've got here is the 22nd of September to 22nd of October for the first sign. So that sign all happens to be my sign, which is good to know. And it's also very interestingly enough, around about the 20th of September is when Libra starts as well. So the first sign of this zodiac, it lines up with the 7th sign of Western astrology, going by the tropical zodiac, the one that most people use. So the signs are, in order, the beetle or scarab, the ant, the wasp, the mantis, the butterfly, the housefly, the moth, the cockroach, the mosquito, the dragonfly, the grasshopper, and then lastly is the bee. And they do pretty much line up with, if you put number 1 at number 7 with Libra, so the ant's going to be Scorpio, the wasp's going to be Sagittarius, and so on, with the bee finally lining up with Virgo in time to come back around for the beetle Libra. So if you know your star sign, you can simply just take the list that I listed off there. Once you get to the moth, you can pretty much just -6. So the moth is going to be Aries, for instance, and it sort of helps. If you want to, and you can sort of roughly sort of figure it out. If you were sitting on a cusp, it probably would pay to check out this site and get the actual dates so you know which one you sit in. But the likelihood is if you're a cusp baby, you're going to be a cusp here as well. Now this main page goes into the history of it. So it says here, early civilizations in the Andes had already defined a zodiac based on their own stellar observations. The clear mountain skies in early human history revealed many more stars and patterns than can be seen today. Many of these patterns were interpreted as constellations representing people, animals, and objects. Well-known constellations of the pre-Incan era include Standing Man, Sitting Girl, Llama, Leopard, Butterfly, Wasp, Maize Plant, which is like a corn, a type of corn, and Tree. These constellations can be big or small and can be individual signs or overlapping with others. Some stars are part of several quite distinct constellations that were recognized by these early civilizations. My battery is running low. To measure progress of time throughout the year, which was important for their developing agriculture, chief astronomers then mapped out a series of constellations resembling insects, which helped them roughly divide the year into 12 periods of approximately a month. Cropping calendars were directly linked to the appearance of these insects in the sky. And the interesting part there is that if it's linked to the appearance in the sky, it's linked to essentially the rising signs at sunrise or sunset. Probably more predominantly sunset when you can actually see the stars. Because obviously if the moon is in a particular sign and the moon is going to do an arc, the star signs are going to shift as well, so that it stays, it's just not at the same speed, obviously. Several of these insect constellations consist of a large number of minor stars that are nowadays not easy to recognize, as night skies have become blurred with polluted airs and light pollution. But some, for example the butterfly, can still be seen easily on clear nights, and partly overlaps with the better known modern constellation of Aquarius, which would make sense. Butterfly's dates are 22nd of January to the 20th of February, so it does overlap with Aquarius. We then go into, there's a little part there, Antomo Zodiac and human traits, which brings us finally to a list of links. Now, because this is my channel and my video, we're going to look at the beetle. So if you were born between the I was going to look at the dates, but it's gone now. I think it was the 22nd of September and 22nd of October, which there is actually, interestingly enough, Antomo Zodiac compared to other horoscopes is a part of this. And Libra is 23rd of September to 22nd of October, so there's only a date different. Only one day is different there. The Ant and Scorpio perfectly line up, Wasp and Sagittarius perfectly line up, Mantis and Capricorn. Mantis goes to the 21st of January, but Capricorn only goes to the 20th. The Butterfly is the 22nd of January to the 20th of February. Aquarius is 20th of January to the 19th of February. So Aquarius starts 2 days before Butterfly does and ends the day before it. Yeah, you can have a full look at that yourself if you would like. But basically, more or less, they pretty much perfectly line up. So let's have a look at some of the human traits that someone like myself, a beetle or a scarab person, would have. Now it starts off here, Beetle is the first astrological sign in the Antomo Zodiac, originating from the star constellation Beetle, which sits between B and ant. Obviously bee being Virgo and ant being Scorpio. In many cases, it's pictured as a scarab beetle, which is curious because the scarab beetle is also important in Egyptian mythology, and this particular species of beetle, which is a dung beetle, is represented in many Egyptian amulets and Egyptian art. So it's interesting that a civilization as well known as Egypt, to which the scarab beetle is usually sort of, that's an Egyptian thing, also quite significant to the Incas as well. And this is one of the many times we start to see different cultures overlap, because when it comes down to it, humans are humans and they all essentially believe in the same thing, even if it's got a different name or a different look. We all eventually come to the same conclusions. Beetles are usually depicted as harmonious, sympathetic, optimistic, and cheerful characters. They are also indecisive, which it lines up with Libra. Of course they're going to be indecisive, impatient, and can be rather changeable, which is interesting that they say that they can be rather changeable, but I suppose that's more or less like if something's going too far to one way, they will change to even out the scales, and less on them being a mutable sign, because they're not. They are a cardinal sign, the old Libras. They don't get angry quickly and are generally peaceful, but sometimes they can suddenly explode in a rage, which is not something you want to be on the receiving end of, and this is coming from someone who has like 4 planets in Scorpio as well. A Libra's rage is not something you want to deal with. It's really not. So the following human traits, which are listed in alphabetical order, are common in beetles. Note the word common, but expression of these characteristics varies a lot depending on the actual day of birth. Now, it doesn't at any point actually give us that specific, like if you were born on the 12th of October, this is your list in order of like, you probably have this the most and this one the least. It is purely just in alphabetical order. So let's have a look at what it says. Scarab beetles, scarab beetle people are analytical, artistic, balanced, changeable, charming, cheerful, clear-minded. For whatever reason, we've got some colors here. Color lavender, color pale green, color pink. I'm not sure if those are supposed to be ones that resonate with us more, or we're more likely to like those colors. But the color lavender does resonate with me because it is the color of the little ribbon for epilepsy awareness, and I have epilepsy. It's also very interesting that pale green is one of the colors because the lights behind me are green. So interesting. And before we ask, no, this was not done on purpose. Compromising is another thing that beetle people can be. Cooperative, diplomatic. Things that they dislike are coarseness, conflict, cruelty, discord, offensive behavior, and vulgarity. We don't fucking like it. And yes, obviously me saying that then was intended to be as a joke. We're easygoing, elegant, fair, flirty, frivolous. I think those last two more speak to the fact that Libra is ruled by Venus as well. If we're looking at the overlapping of these two zodiacs, because it is uncanny that they line up perfectly the same way. But I'll get into what's interesting about that when I finish this list. We're also gentle, we have good taste, graceful, we can be gullible, but that just means that for all the tricks we're given out, we can be tricked just as easily. We are hospitable, we are idealistic, and then it specifies as well as a separate dot point, idealistic in relationships. So not only are we idealistic in general, but it's very specific in our relationships. We have grand plans and ideas as far as our relationships go. And as always, when the word relationship comes up, I feel like I need to specify here, not necessarily romantically speaking. Like, we will go to the ends of the earth to plan the perfect party for our best friend or our siblings or whatever. Just in the same way that we will, spend a whole month planning that perfect date night for our romantic partners as well. We are impartial and indecisive, which I think comes with the territory. We are influenceable, so easily influenced. We like beauty, we like companionship, we like fairness, we like feeling balanced. Again, the whole scales thing. We like harmony, we like justice, and we like peace. Those last four all essentially meaning the same thing, but with a clearer focus on a specific part of that. So like the feeling balance is within ourselves, the harmony would be within our relationships, justice would be within our society, and peace would be, sort of the ribbon that ties those three together. We are logical, we love having people around, we can be naive, we are peace-loving, which just reiterates the fact that we like peace. We are peaceful people, so not only do we like peace for you, but we like peace for us. We are pleasure-oriented, but no, seriously, I get bored easily, so if I can go out and do something, because like when it's like, oh yeah, no, let's hang out, and then everyone's just sitting around in some rando's lounge room on their phones, I'm like, this isn't hanging out. I might as well go home and do something by myself. Like we're not doing anything. If you ask me to go and hang out, I expect you to have gone, yeah, no, we're gonna go to like a museum or something. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be anything over the top. Like, hey, let's hang out, and suddenly just off the cuff, let's go skydiving. Like it doesn't have to be that. But if you ask me to hang out, it better be something more than just sitting in your lounge room on our phones. Like I love talking shit and having a drink and stuff with my mates. But usually when that happens, I'm aware that that's what it's going to be, rather than, oh hey, I'm free this day, let's do something, and then we don't do anything. So pleasure-oriented indeed. Possibly manipulative, and I love that it puts possibly here, because this has been a thing that my exes have been telling me for years when they break up with me. Like, oh, you're so manipulative. And then it's like, am I? Because, like, I have friends that I've known longer than you, and they don't think I'm manipulative. So is it, like, is it me? Or is it just you trying to find a reason for why the relationship's not working out, and you don't really want to tell me what the actual reason is? Or like, possibly manipulative though. Refined, sensitive to others. So we are very empathetic, which is good to know. Sociable. We apparently have a strong interest in the opposite sex. Now it is also important to note here that a strong interest in the opposite sex does not necessarily mean sexual and romantic attraction to the opposite sex. It could simply be that, so for instance, I'm not, but for a hypothetical, if I was gay, a strong interest in the opposite sex would mean that most of my friends would be female, which, even though I'm omni, most of my friends are, because I'm an effeminate person. And so I sort of relate more to how they view issues, because obviously there's nothing else that I can relate to that a woman goes through, but I definitely sort of find myself on a similar wavelength as far as the way they think about like social issues and stuff, and even just being effeminate could be part of my strong interest in the opposite sex. Obviously, as I mentioned in my coming out, I'm heteroromantic, so that's also a strong interest in the opposite sex, despite the fact that I'm open to whoever, just don't be a cunt. Basically, we can be superficial, we can be unreliable, although I find that for myself particularly, having a Virgo moon and my Neptune and Uranus in Capricorn, that those earth signs ground me a little bit more and help make me more reliable, because earth signs are all about practicality and stuff, and as part of my, feeling balanced, harmony, justice, all that sort of thing, I generally view things in sort of a, if I say I'm going to do something and then I don't, then I can't really expect other people to do the same thing. Like to say one thing and do the same thing. Like, I can't expect that if I'm not going to. So I think for me, having those, that strong presence of Earth in my chart helps make me more reliable than, say, another beetle here. We can also be very vain, which is beautiful to have when you've also got anxiety and depression. The egoism just is off the charts. It's off the charts, okay? It is. It really be like that. And we're also very romantic. It then has a little link down the bottom there. Click here to look up human traits for a specific birth date. So you go onto the main site, which I will link down below, click on find out which one you are, go down, click on that. You should have a similar list of traits and a similar link to look up for specific birth dates, so you can actually find out in order what yours are. And I might do that for myself later. It then goes into a little bit of backstory on, just a little bit of trivia, excuse me, on beetles. So it starts off with their group within entomology, which is Coleoptera, which comes from their shield-like forewings, with coleo meaning shield and terra meaning wing. They're very strong, sturdy insects which can be found in almost every habitat. There's an enormous variation in size and shapes, the smallest being less than 1 millimeter long and the largest up to 20 centimeters, which is, that's a beetle 2/3 the size of your subway footlong. An 8-inch beetle. And why does 8-inch beetle sound like some fringe anime title? Anyway, they live on different types of food. Many species feed on plants and fungi, making them important in the ecosystem as they break down animal and plant debris. Obviously, the dung beetle does that with the droppings of other animals, the fecal matter. But some species are carnivores and eat other invertebrates. For example, The ladybird beetle feeds on aphids and other small insects. There are quite a number of beetles which are important agricultural pests which can damage or destroy crops. Scarab beetles are a family of medium to big sized beetles, often black in colour, but with some species they can be very colourful. Some scarabs are called dung beetles, with a typical behaviour of rolling dung into spherical balls, which are then used as food source for their larvae. The scarab beetle is obviously, as we've mentioned this entire video, the beetle that represents the beetle category as a whole for this. So the glyph looks like a scarab beetle. But anyway, that's all I've got for this video. Like I said, the link is down below. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, and also don't forget to hit the notification bell if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. If you liked this one, please give it a big old thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. What is your insect sign? And then, yeah. Until next time, guys, keep your head screwed on.